Hello, my dear viewers. Today is April 1st, and my first material today will be dedicated to the event that happened this morning at about 6:30 in Belgorod. Two Ukrainian Mi-24 helicopters attacked the oil depot. One missed, the other hit the tanks, and as a result, the tanks farm in Belgorod is still on fire. And as soon as I woke up in the morning, I was literally bombarded with questions. Yuriy, how could this happen? What is it, and what can we expect? Well, in fact, I actually understand the outrage of people who believed for some reason that the Ukrainian armed forces could not deliver such a strike. And here I want to point out again that the Russian official media, with their overly optimistic statements, unfortunately have accustomed their viewers to the idea that this cannot be just because it cannot be. And in fact, I will show it below, it was quite a logical action on the part of the UAF. And it's not even about PR for the Ukrainian armed forces, which as well as the Russian armed forces were preparing for a huge epic battle in eastern Ukraine. Such a strike was an absolute military necessity. Well, to start, why was it possible? Why did the Russian air defense not notice these targets? Of course, those people who know how the air defense system works don't ask such questions. They understand that, for example, any radar station cannot see low-flying helicopters, especially in the very difficult terrain like in Belgorod region. If we look closely at the relief map of the Belgorod region, we will see that all this territory is indented by hills and river valleys, an ideal place for helicopters to enter at ultra-low altitude. The helicopters enter from the territory controlled by the UAF from the northwest of the Kharkov region, and from this point there was about 40 kilometers to the place of the strike, the distance traveled by a helicopter in around 8 minutes. And most of the times it goes along the river valley, absolutely invisible to radar. And another very important argument is the fact that helicopters fly here very often. Moreover, Mi-24 is in service in both in armed forces of Ukraine and in the armed forces of Russian Federation. Therefore, if there was, for example, a crew with a portable anti-aircraft missile system along the way, holding the defense, they would not easily determine what helicopter it was, but rather they would most likely think that it was some Russian helicopter coming back from a combat mission. Because there have been no raid by Ukrainian helicopters on the territory of Belgorod region until today. That is the factor of surprise also played here. Hence the question why it was not downed by portable anti-aircraft missile system, if there were any. The question is actually rhetorical. The answer is really simple, and medium and long-range anti-aircraft missile systems are absolutely useless in this situation. Moreover, this had been shown also by the recent raid of Russian helicopters to Kostomo airfield. Remember it? Several dozen Russian helicopters followed exactly the same pattern and captured the airfield in the town of Kostomo. And one helicopter had been downed and another damaged with those very portable anti-aircraft missile system, which could also help in this case. But things were simple there. The Ukrainian soldiers expected that only Russian helicopters could appear there, and they fired without hesitation. Here, however, the situation is completely different. Therefore, indiscriminately accusing someone of the fact that they have overlooked it is probably unjust. However, for the significant part of Russian society, the thing that happened today in Belgorod was a shock, but I have explained you the reasons. And answering the question whether it was possible to oppose anything to this, I should say yes, probably. If a long-range radar detection aircraft was constantly patrolling this area, then with a high degree of probability, the approach of these helicopters would have been detected. But for a quick reaction to them, it would be necessary to keep a couple of fighters in the air constantly, which is obviously not the case on the territory of Belgorod region so far. But it is very likely that from now on, in order to prevent such raids, this all will take place here. Unfortunately, the leading state channels have chosen such a line like it could not be just because it could not be. Meanwhile, such an operation simply suggested itself. I will now explain why. The fact is that Belgorod is not only an important communication hub, but also an important rare point of supply. And the battle, which will begin to unfold really soon in eastern Ukraine, will basically depend on the availability of fuel and lubricants. And it is not by accident that Russian troops strike at such bases, and also Ukrainian troops do the same where they can reach. And they could reach right to the western suburbs of Belgorod, which everyone convinced of this morning. Yes, of course, it would be possible to reduce the probability of such an incident, but it cannot be completely ruled out. And here I would also like to point out a very important matter, which today is deliberately inflated by the Ukrainian Special Operation Forces in social media. The first throw-in was made just immediately after the strike, blaming Ukrainian refugees as if they carried out sabotage. They aimed helicopters at the target. And accordingly, jingoistic patriots who are easily turned on by such topics immediately began to raise a wave of negativity. Like, let's put all these refugees into camps, in no case should they be released, they are people who hate us, and so on and so on. This is exactly the effect that Kiev really wants to achieve, and this information attack was launched by the Special Operations Forces of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. This was immediately taken up by dumb-headed patriots without any understanding that they were thereby pouring water on the mill of the official Kiev. But why would it surprise me? They have always been like that, where there are no brains but only emotions. There can be no rational behavior by definition. That's roughly what I could say about the event. Next comes the review of the fronts. That's all for now. Goodbye, and stay tuned for the next material.